Man, welcome back to the Bees Like That podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris. Today, I'm excited, man. There's a little bit of sunshine out in the sky. Out in the sky. Where the hell else is sunshine going to be, sir? Well, I guess it could come from the sun via the sky and in through a window into your living room, your bedroom, etc. Oh, shut up, man. Anyway, we'll move on to more important topics. I'm going to wear this one out. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll circle back and explain how I landed on this thought process, like what was the genesis of it all. Maybe not. But suffice it to say that I've and I should say first, this isn't the first time that I've done this, but today and yesterday, I've really had to drill back down on the fact that people are people, right? Just like me, and they're going to be going through whatever it is that they're going through in their lives, right? Like, I have my issues that I deal with. Some of the stuff is super frustrating, and I wish it would go away. And God forbid that, like it has in the past, it kind of makes me surly or unpleasant to be around, or in other words, it affects how I interact with the world and other people. Granted, over life and time, like that has changed. I don't seek the same time and community and acknowledgement that I used to do socially. However, I'm still a person and it's still important. So anyway, just recognizing that is true with me the same that it is with other people. And why that's important for me and others to recognize is it can help in times where perspective shift is needed. So this saying may be the best way to sum it up. It probably has more to do with them than it does with you. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes, hey, homie, look, it is you. You're a problem, or you've been a problem, or you're being a problem, right? Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it's you and you need to tighten up. And that's really difficult for people to hear. With that, self-reflection is really important. And I have to ask myself, what is it, either in space or within me, that is either like raising some flags for me about a person or that I just don't like? What is it? I've shared this before. One of the biggest things I believe that I struggle with, well, I know that I struggle with, is uncertainty and kind of like ambiguity. So it really bothers me when in my mind I perceive people being fake. I guess I'll just say it like that. When I think that I observe that, it really bothers me because I'm like, all right, bro. My trigger attached to that is insecurity. Not that I mean that within myself, not like a personal insecurity, but like insecurity and instability. So if I can't get an accurate read on you because I feel like you like diminish your true self more so than we typically do as people, when we're like not in our natural habitat, like our most comfortable environments, we definitely do diminish aspects of ourselves so it's better we can fit in. But if I feel like this is something that's really strange for you, like this is something that's really challenging, and one thing I notice with that is that people who overcompensate that way, for whatever the reasons might be, but they really do overcompensate that way, and you can see this, like, to me anyway, this like really try hard overly dramatic like attempt to be a thing when it's clear that it's stressful and that it's not naturally who you are. One thing I noticed though is like people like that, like the really, really obvious ones, they notice people like me because they're constantly scanning for that approval. Okay, that landed. Okay, this new aspect to my personality that I'm trying on today, that landed. Oh, this weird little nuanced way that I communicate, that landed. All that stuff is really, really weird to me. Now, listen. It may not be weird to anybody else but me. Maybe in this instance that says more about me than it does other people. All the same. All the same. Drilling down on that point. That's a trigger for me. Not a trigger where like I'm going to go and like relapse or I'm going to be shitty, but like you're definitely putting a stake in the ground and signaling to me that like there's a problem. Oh, man. And how do I attach that to staying clean? Well, to the first point, adding to it, just acknowledging again that people are people and they're fighting things that I have no idea about. And it just so happens that sometimes that thing or things might be addiction. It could be alcohol, it could be pills, it could be food, it could be people, it could be something. But there's a battle going on behind the eyes that I may not be privy to. And I say this, I've said this before, maybe not in here, but the principles of recovery, of a recovery-based 12-step recovery-based program can work and will work for anyone. You can like feel free to go in there and change stuff up and like you can take out anything to do with booze or drinking or getting loaded and supplement that with whatever the malady in your life might be at the time and apply those principles and work those steps, and I will give you my personal guarantee that you will feel relief from that. Like it may be for you that it is for a lot of people, as it is for a lot of us, that it's things are just going to get a little different at first, and they're not automatically going to be like a dramatic departure from your life as it is like daily anyway. But just give it some time, man. This was or is the perfect time to exercise a little radical acceptance and do as they say, trust the process, right? If you line them up and knock them down daily, of course, life's going to get lifey. That's why we have that life on life's terms. But listen, man, one day at a time, that shit right there, when it clicked for me, was so effing prophetic, man. It was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So we can suspend at least some of this training, some of this social training that has gotten me this far and has seen me just doggedly work through anything and just like wear myself to the bone and not deal with any of my unresolved trauma and not process any of my emotions and not confront things that trigger me in my personal life or professionally or otherwise. If I just continue to chin these things and shoulder that burden without any process, am I really surprised that this all or nothing mentality drives me toward alcohol? Well, it shouldn't be a surprise, because looking back at my life and patterns in battles with alcohol, that's what it was, man. Like, it's just running on the red. And I use an easier example of saying that, like, life is like the most skilled fighter that you will ever meet or have the experience of, and it will whip your ass. Life is like the cool bully. Like, you can count on that it's going to do you some fucked up shit. but it's like a bully with a compass. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll hit you with some lefts and some rights, but then it'll also, get out of your way, and let you recover. And that's, I guess, one of the more key and fundamental parts of it is recognizing the opportunities to recover. And I looking back on my life and the trajectory of my alcoholism and addiction in general, it's pretty crazy. It is peppered with opportunities to recover. Many of them squandered. And that, among a few other select things that I reflect on, it makes me shudder, man, because the sense of gratitude that I get for the amount of peace and serenity and recovery, including all the challenges, man. Like, including all the challenges. Like, I had kind of a crummy day yesterday, just physically. But, laying there, thinking, and then walked into the living room, gave my baby girl a hug. And it's like, oh, man, okay. You know what I'm saying? And I looked at her, gave her a kiss on the forehead. I was like, you make me feel better. And it's true. And the blessing in that is no matter how crummy I felt yesterday, which it wasn't terrible. It was just, when you have a string of really, really good days, really good days in a row and more consecutively than you have in months, when you have a crappy day, you're just like, oh, man, come on, can I get some relief? But even with that feeling, just like, the joy and gratitude that I have for the life that I have right now, that I've built with my wife, just made me feel better, man. And it signals to something that needs no explanation from me, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. And that's just that. The experiences have value, and I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't come off as cliche or super repetitive and boring, but I think it bears repeating. Like, review is great practice, I'm constantly, because my shit, man, my addict brain, my alcoholic brain will creep back in with the fucking, just the cynical thoughts and, the resentments and the bad attitudes and like, these is just dumb. How you get so dumb, or how can you be so damn dumb and still be alive? Like, hey, come on, man. Even if they're not stupid, that shit is between them and God, and I shouldn't be taking it personally. But that stuff creeps in. That's a part of just like that nasty addict, alcoholic side of me that I won't say suppress, but that when it surfaces, I don't try to hide it. I recognize it, and however I got to get up and around or over or through that shit, that's what I got to do. And this is the message, because no matter what it is, you don't have to drink over it. No matter what it is, you don't have to fight over it. No matter what it is not worth getting loaded. Period. I promise you, it is not. It is not. It is not worth getting loaded. And let's keep it a buck. 9.75 times out of 10, that shit be petty as hell, the shit that we relapse over. That shit be fucking petty. It don't even be no serious shit, dude. It just some petty, stupid shit. And what that signals to me, what I've recognized in the pattern of my history, is that it could be right. So let's flesh this part out. It could be right that it's a preponderance of things, like it's a cumulative effect, and left unchecked, these things just add up, and it's just like drops in a bucket, and the relapse starts way before the actual event. 100% I acknowledge that shit is true. I do. And that definitely does happen. It's happened to me. Also, I would say I mean, I won't say that it's an equal or higher percentage, but there's also a percentage of relapses that come from reservations. I've used it. Hey, homie, listen. Oh man, if this ever happens, I'm getting loaded. Fuck it. I have a joke because honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to 80 years old, but I have a joke. Because I haven't had any since I've been clean this time. I've not had any, not a single one. I've not had a using dream. I've not had a single craving. I've never had a thought that I want to get loaded. Never once. And I've dealt with some fucked up shit in the last 6 years. I'm actually really proud of that. But that's never been even a remote idea in my mind. In this version of recovery, in this journey, relapse has not been a part of it. It has been at other legs. But even if that joke's in poor taste, it's about my recovery. Likely, listen, man, if I live to 80, I'm not drinking. The last thing on my mind is going to be alcohol, you know? Who knows what I'm going to be doing at 80 if I live that long. But the point is, like, that's a reservation. It's a reservation. That's why it is, I don't know, the importance of the daily work. And this is what I'm talking about, like, not just like going to meetings. That stuff is important as well. The fellowship, the service, and the daily spiritual principles. So the shit that I do every day, like, it's really great to be in recovery with my wife because we fellowship all the time. And I have at least one other person that I like just can personally fellowship with. But I fellowship in a 12-step, just, I mean, kind of even like accidentally do it in the facilitation of my work. And to be very specific about that, not like a traditional 12-step. I mean, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't do this. I would absolutely go and meet with someone, maybe not in my work, but would absolutely go meet with someone who is under the influence, to be drunk or high, be with them, support them through not continuing to use, take them to a meeting. Like, I'm down for all of that stuff. But what it looks more like in my daily life is testimony, sharing that experience, strength, and hope. Like, that is a huge part of what's kept me sober. And also holding out in front of me the things that I held out in front of me from the beginning that got me clean. I talked about that, so I'm not going to talk about it here again. But at any rate, never let, even if you have a suspicion that it may be in your mind, you're probably right that it's not. But at least on your part, for your end of it, this is speaking from my experience, I do my best to get in front of it. If I notice something or a pattern, I have to think about it. And if I have to think about it, I will. I'll give it some thought because it pays to not be reactive. I'm not saying that I'm never reactive because I certainly have those times, but it pays to get in front of it. And at least for you, because you know that you've opened that door for communication. You've you've pulled the curtain back on an issue or a potential issue. You've pulled the curtain back and you've made, available yourself to anyone or any group of people that might have a grievance with you. The rest is on them. The rest is on you. Like, in my opinion, like that part of it, that's my work. That's my end of the work. Now, if that's not reciprocated, or even if you're not satisfied with the answer or non-response, because that happens too, I'm telling you, the therapeutic value of you getting in front of it and addressing it is immense. Because what what you can't do, and what I refuse to do, is just let it simmer, brew, and get weird. Some point, somebody's got to like address it, because that way everyone knows, and even if like I say, you don't get a response, it's out there now. People know that you notice. You know what I'm saying? So they're either gonna be like, they're not even gonna try to hide the fact that they don't like you, or they're just gonna have to continue to pretend that they do, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I'll just leave that like that. It just pays to get out in front of shit, man. And I now understand that, hey, look, like I said, people are people, and they've got going on in their life what they've got going on. I got going on in my life what I got going on. And look, man, I got a fucking phenomenal life. And like I used to say, man, I'm not going to say that it's not like social acceptance isn't important to me, because it is. It is, and I think it's healthy. It's normal. We're social creatures. But it's none of my business what people think about me, especially if they're not willing to have a conversation with me. If they just want to silently not like a nigga, that's none of my business. Legitimately, that's none of my business. I make myself available to anyone who wants to discuss or have a conversation. If they choose not to, hey man, that's on them. Because I'm a cool ass dude, bro. I'm a cool ass dude. No matter what you hear. No matter what you hear or think you might know. Sorry, if it's noisy, like I'm not even sure if the mic's gonna pick this up. But if it does, that is my permafrost chiller on my cold plunge. I have a Hydrogun cold plunge, and right now I think I got that joint set at, it says 40. Well, I have it set at 42, but it's 2 degrees higher. In the morning, it's definitely not 2 degrees higher. It is definitely the biting 42 degrees. Let me just run through this with you. I've been cold plunging for a couple months now, so I feel like I'm a cold plunge expert. I'm saying cold plunge level, was it Jedi? I was about to say ninja, but ninjas played. Cold plunge level Jedi. Straight up. If you've not done it before, this is the rundown. So, the way that I like to do it, just because I like to start with from a dilated, a vasodilated state. Take I don't know, maybe like a 10-minute, pretty warm shower, it was probably like borderline hot for some of y'all. But you know us, bro. You know, we like them hot showers. We got to get clean. Anyway, I'll take a borderline hot shower for about 5-10 minutes, and then immediately toss on my robe, tie my dreads up, and go sit in the cold plunge for, I only do a minute during the week. I do a minute. So I'm shooting for between 10 to 12 minutes. And let me see. Let's do a little bit of math. Oh, no way, dude. So I currently do a weekly total of 10.5 minutes in the cold plunge. So 6 days a week, and fuck you for laughing at that. I use the calculator for that. 6 days a week, 1 minute. And then on Sundays, I start with the shower. I roll out. Well, first I gotta turn the sauna on. I have a little one-person sauna here in the longevity center. Shout out to my big dog, Mike Parr, in the longevity center. We're making it real, big guy. Turn on the sauna in the longevity center. hop in that shower. When I'm out the shower, jump straight into the cold plunge, 1 minute 30. Then I hop in the sauna for about 8 minutes, back in the cold plunge, 1 minute 30. Back in the sauna, 8 minutes, back in the cold plunge, 1 minute 30, and I end on cold. So the reason that we end on cold is because we want to let the body warm up naturally. So all the little processes that it does, the heart will speed up, beat a little faster, increase heartbeat, burn a little bit more fat, because your body's got to work harder to naturally warm everything back up and get the veins and arteries dilated, acclimated to room temperature. So it takes a little bit longer, so it's a little bit harder of a process. The body's got to work a little harder to get it done. So that ramps up your metabolism for the day, increases alertness, increases vagal tone, so like your vagus nerve that regulates sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, and a lot of other shit. That was a really oversimplified definition of what the vagus nerve does. But anyway, for the purposes of this discussion, vagal tone and actually improved vascular tone. So because when you go from cold to hot, your veins and arteries constrict and dilate. So there's a sweet spot from 10 to 12 minutes where the cold exposure and the heat exposure and these differences, it's like a little workout, not a little workout. It's a workout for your vascular and nervous system without a spike in cortisol, which we all know a spike in cortisol itself isn't exactly a detrimental thing, but regularly and repeated uncontrolled spikes of cortisol and dysregulated nervous system and poor vagal and vascular tone are bad. It's bad. And I left something out. So before I do any of that, during the week, I'll do my breath work. So in the morning, I'll do 3 or 4 rounds just to get the day started, do my shower, cold plunge, and after every single cold plunge, at the end of it, so on Sundays after the third one, and during the week after the first one, I will submerge my brain, my face to about here, because all my hair is back here, and I don't want to get it super wet every day, but like just the stuff in the front is fine, or the bottom ends of the dreads is fine. And that's great for skin health. I don't do much else besides dip my face in cold water every day. But this routine that I do, coupled with the gym and cardio, has made me feel really good lately. And also, I think has kind of sped up the process, the healing process. I'm on a bit of a healing journey right now. I haven't really dove too far into it. I have gone as far as to say that I won't be competing this year. But otherwise, just dealing with some stuff and healing. That's the goal right now. So we're not competing. We're not training like a bodybuilder. We're not eating like a bodybuilder. We're not doing any of that stuff. But we are training the rest of our body. So I'm doing a lot of spiritual training, breath work, vascular and vagal nervous system work, mental health work, all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of like one of the reasons, the mental health stuff, like the whole journey in general, why I landed on the reflection that I did that kind of started the idea for this episode. And just circling back, that was just acknowledging that like people are people too, just like me. Unfortunately, they can't all be near or actually perfect the way that I can. However, it doesn't make them too much or any like there's not like a super dramatic drop rather in value, them compared to me. Near perfect, it's okay, but I'm totally kidding. I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form, far from it. all seriousness, yeah, we're all people, man. We all got shit going on. Not saying that there aren't definitely patterns. I'm not saying that you're crazy. You're probably not crazy. Just like I know I'm not crazy. I'm probably one of the most observant people that I know. But probably says more about them than it does about you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean that as like an insult. It's just, it's the truth, man. It's just the truth. Oh, man. What else we got going on today? Got a lot of driving to do. Got some meetings to do. Just had some spare time this afternoon, so wanted to record an episode. Oh, man. Stuff in the news. So this might not mean anything to a lot of you, but the UFC fighter, former heavyweight champion of the UFC, Cain Velasquez, ran into some legal trouble a few years ago. Apparently the story was that his daughter was molested. I think the report that I read said hundreds of times. Alleged hundreds of times. By a relative caregiver, like at a daycare situation or something like that. And his daughter wasn't the only abused child. Anyway, Big Cain Velasquez said, oh man, I'm not having any of that. So he went and got himself a gun, went and tracked down the people who were alleged to have harmed his daughter, and he was going to give them a lead injection. If you get what I'm saying. Somehow it all escalated and turned into like a pursuit where he was chasing another truck containing the person who had harmed his daughter, and another person reported to have shot at this truck multiples of times. Whatever. I guess it's not alleged anymore. I just say that because I don't know like the details, the specific details, but I know like in just what's going on. So anyway, he didn't kill the guy, which is great for him because he's going to have the ability to get out of prison and reunite with his family and be there for his daughter and, help her heal as she grows. But he was sentenced to 5 years. I'm not sure when he is required to report and turn himself in. When he gets credit, I think in California, violent crime is 85%. He's already got 3 years in, so it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround for the heavyweight champ, Mr. Cain Velasquez. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I can't imagine. I don't even like to think about what frame of mind situation like that would put me in. I just don't know what I would do. Pray to God that I never have to find out. Never have to find out. But love and respect, prayers go out to Cain Velasquez and his family. Man, I can't say the guy did anything dishonorable. I think that it was probably a mistake for him, blinded by rage. Again, totally understand to be on the freeway, shooting out of his vehicle at and into another vehicle, potentially, not potentially, but placing, people in the community that have nothing to do with the situation at harm. So 5 years, I think, with 85%, 3 years time served, I think Mr. Velasquez has learned his lesson. And next time will be a bit more if there is a next time. God forbid. Why did I say if next time? But God forbid there's a next time, and there shouldn't be. Just be a little more focused in your approach. Anyway, what else is in the news? I guess I gotta probably cover this too, but doubtful that any of you guys, maybe, you never know, maybe, but one of my favorite black men and rappers and philanthropists and thought leaders and innovators, Ermias Askedom, aka Nipsey Hussle, who died tragically in a shooting in 2019. A lot of people who were he was attached to via the gang that he was a part of in South Central Los Angeles have just got rolled up on a pretty crazy RICO indictment. And the only reason that I bring this up is because one of the people who are listed in the indictment who are currently in federal custody in California, Big U, is also being charged with the murder of another rap artist in 2021, and the situations are just a little bit similar. Just petty inside beef, but anyway, there was speculation back in the day when this all happened that Big U had something to do with Nipsey Hussle's death. I'm not sure whether or not there's going to be a point in time with this indictment if they're going to cover that. So far, the documents that are available publicly don't discuss any of that in the complaint, but you never know. Federal, the FBI is a completely different beast, and they don't come for you unless they got something, and they're prepared. But there's other people out there that think that this is all just a witch hunt. I don't know enough about it, but the only reason that I mentioned it is because, like I say, this was someone who was speculated by many to have had something to do with the tragic shooting death of Nipsey Hussle back in 2019. And that was a pretty important story for me. But anyway, if you didn't do it on the way in, think about doing it on the way out. Hit that like, subscribe, and post notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the cool, fun, wacky, zany, and badass shit that we talk about here on the Bees Like That podcast. Peace, y'all.